You say you want to be unstoppable. Good. But the first honest step isn't forward. It's inward. Ask yourself why you've been so easy to stop. You pause at the edge of every move because you still think the world keeps score with fairness. You're playing for virtue points in a game that pays out only in leverage. You hope your patience will be admired, your kindness remembered, your humility rewarded. That's a comforting myth. The world isn't ruled by virtue. It's ruled by force, by cunning, and by control. The people who rise aren't the most moral. They're the most prepared to do what others refuse, calmly, precisely, and on their own terms. You're exhausted not because you're weak, but because you've been investing in the wrong currency. You chase approval when you should be building leverage. You keep trying to be understood instead of learning to be obeyed. And here's the cold truth. As long as you beg to be seen, you'll never be felt. Power isn't granted to the polite. It gravitates to those who treat perception as a weapon and silence as a strategy. Think about all the times you were told to be humble, shrink a little, wait your turn. Humility without power is not virtue. It's submission in a nice suit. You weren't being noble, you were being harvested. You were trained to feel guilty for wanting more, ashamed of ambition, scared of acting alone. That fear didn't appear by magic. It was installed by systems, by stories, by people who benefit when you don't move. You are not weak by nature. You've been softened by design. The instincts that once pushed you toward conquest, survival, and self-command are still in you. They're just sedated under layers of apologizing, over-explaining, and needing to be liked. Your job isn't to find yourself. Your job is to exhume yourself. No one will hand you permission to rise, and that's your first test. If you need permission, you're not ready to rule. The masses love to preach fairness. But fairness is the language of the powerless. Those who actually rule talk about one thing: control. Watch closely. The loudest voices for equality rarely surrender their own advantages. They moralize to slow you down, to shame your strength, to fog your clarity. Every time you hesitate because someone's feelings might get bruised, remember how little hesitation they show when it's your feelings on the line. Men aren't good in some abstract, dependable way. They're obedient, self-interested, and, when it pays, dangerous. Accept that, and you can start commanding the field as it is, not as you wish it were. Stop judging people by their intentions, and start judging them by their leverage. Don't ask, do they like me? Ask, what do they stand to lose if they betray me? That's power. Not admiration, but consequences. To become the person who can't be manipulated, you have to kill the part of you that craves comfort more than control, applause more than respect. People love a harmless man until he's useless. They fear a dangerous one, and that fear keeps lines clear without you saying a word. This doesn't mean you must be cruel, but you must be willing to be. You've been trying to be the exception, the good man who wins without pressure, threat, or resistance. He's a bedtime story. If you want to win, become dangerous. And danger starts with emotional control. If your adversary can predict your reaction, he owns you. If he can trigger you, he can steer you. If he can guilt you, he can govern you. The strong pretend to be weak. The weak pretend to be righteous. It's a theater of halos and hidden knives. The truly powerful don't shout, don't explain, don't overshare. They move in silence and act through others. They keep mystery because mystery is leverage, and they don't take a step until the step changes everything. So stop announcing your every move like a child hoping for praise. Start observing. Start testing. Apply pressure in quiet places and see who cracks. Your power won't come from volume. It will come from being unreadable. Your emotions are not public property. Your plans are not open source. Your dreams are not on the bargaining table. People always ask, how do I become powerful? The answer is brutal. Be feared, respected, and needed more than you are liked. If people can live without you, they will. If they don't fear losing you, they'll betray you. If they think you can't retaliate, they'll attack. If your forgiveness is guaranteed, they'll sin freely. Don't make yourself easy to wrong. Let the cost of disrespect be exile. Let betrayal lock a door forever. That's not pettiness. It's architecture. You're building a fortress of psychological dominance. A presence that tilts the room. A gravity that curbs lies before they're spoken. You'll know it's working when people measure their words around you, when your silence feels like pressure, when the air changes because you entered. Most men never reach that state because they're still bargaining for approval from people they should be dominating. They confuse agreeableness with virtue. Newsflash. Agreeableness is often fear of rejection wearing a friendly mask. Approval is a leash. The more you beg for it, the tighter it pulls. The more you perform for validation, the more contempt you invite. You're training people to see your softness as their opportunity. Stop being the man who tolerates everything and become the man who tolerates nothing. Correction should feel like consequence. Explanation should be scarce. Silence should echo. They expect rage? Give them distance. They expect debate. Give them nothing. Do not defend yourself to liars. Do not argue with fools. Do not explain your standards to those who violate them. They aren't confused. They're testing you. Every soft response dissolves your shape. Hold frame or lose it. Emotional detachment isn't coldness for its own sake. It's war prep. You cannot build anything worth defending while you're tangled up with people who profit from your stagnation. You can't become powerful while negotiating peace with those who panic at your growth. Your strength indicts their weakness. Your clarity threatens their manipulation. Your ambition exposes their complacency. So they'll try to keep you reachable, emotionally, mentally, strategically. They'll use nostalgia, guilt, shared memories, borrowed loyalty. They'll twist the sacred family friendship faith to make you feel immoral for walking away. Walk anyway, leave anyway, rise anyway. Loyalty to stagnation is treason to your future. Expect the names. Cold, ruthless, selfish. Let them talk. Their volume is proof that your silence is working. Power is not explained, it's felt. If they need a presentation to believe you, they've already placed themselves beneath your standards. Let your boundaries speak. Let absence speak. Let upgrade speak. Quit telling people who you are. Show them by what you no longer tolerate, by what you refuse to explain, by how little access they now have. Remember this. Power doesn't only live in presence, it lives in restriction. Scarcity creates value, and you've been selling yourself wholesale. People respect what costs them. If your time is cheap, your presence is cheaper. Become expensive, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, not to be cruel, but to be exact. You'll notice the pivot when the same voices that mocked your softness start whispering that you're dangerous. That's not a problem. That's a metric. It means your frame is visible, your standards are consistent, and your consequences are credible. Still, there's a part of you that resists, wants to be understood, wants to prove you're good. That part has to die. Power isn't earned by proving your goodness. It's secured by enforcing your boundaries. Boundaries don't need moral essays. They need enforcement. Once, with finality. Let go of the fantasy that your old relationships will applaud your evolution. Transformation threatens dependency. When you rise, they can't anchor their comfort to your compliance. They will accuse. They will revise history. They'll call your growth arrogance because your clarity is their mirror. You're not obligated to correct their story. Withdraw and ascend. Every silence is a staircase. The man who doesn't react cannot be redirected. Understand the game. The version of you that failed was built on permission. The version that wins runs on self-command. From here on out, no more begging, no more waiting, no more narrating your every move. Your authority will be declared in energy, protected by distance, and enforced through detachment. People will either rise with you or become a footnote you don't reread. And if you want the simplest test of who stays, remove access. The useful remain useful. The parasites evaporate. Your instincts aren't broken, they're buried. The animal, the strategist, the commander, all still present under layers of guilt and learned hesitation. You were trained to pause, to seek permission, to ask the slowest person in the room for advice. Each time you outsourced your nerve, you dulled your blade. You don't need more information. You need fewer doubts. The world isn't complicated. It's just crowded with cowards dressed as sages, flooding your mind with noise so you never build. Doubt is profitable for them. Certainty is dangerous for them. When you move decisively, the ground shifts, and suddenly all the concern around you reveals itself for what it always was: control. This war is fought with decisions, not speeches. The dangerous man is not loud, he's observant. He sees everything, says little, and waits for maximum impact. He lets competitors waste energy in motion and mouth. He studies, calculates, and then moves once, cleanly, conclusively. That must become your rhythm, not reactive, strategic, not visible, unreadable, not emotional, precise. The minute they can predict you, they can trap you. The minute they can label you, they can file you away. Never be fully known. Never be fully accessible. Be like smoke, present, shaping the room, but impossible to grab. Stop trying to be liked. You're not here to be liked. You're here to be remembered. Respect beats affection. Fear, wielded with control and restraint, maintains boundaries and protects empires. You were taught to fear fear, to soften, to blend, to apologize. That wasn't wisdom. It was the anesthesia used to defang potential threats before they ever woke up. You're awake now. That doesn't make you evil. It makes you effective. The man who doesn't fear being feared can't be manipulated by the herd's moral illusions. He doesn't crave applause. He demands caution. He doesn't need their understanding. He only requires their hesitation before they cross him. Guard your perimeter. Most betrayals don't come from enemies. They come from proximity without contribution. Audit with surgical honesty. Who adds weight? Who adds chaos? Who makes you second-guess yourself? Remove them, not with drama, not with revenge, with distance. Quiet, firm, irreversible distance. You're not building a democracy. You're establishing a monarchy. Vision at the top, discipline as the law, standards as the borders. In that kingdom, weakness is treason. Not because you hate the weak, but because your mission can't be negotiated down to soothe fragile egos. Here's the paradox that makes you unstoppable. Need less. Need less validation, less company. Fewer explanations. Independence is the true throne. When you can walk away from anything, you become immune to the games. When you can rebuild from nothing, you become a rumor of immortality. When you no longer need anyone to believe in you, they start believing anyway, because power is gravitational. It isn't argued. It's felt. It draws or repels by the weight of your consistency. And yet there's one final opponent. The weaker version of you living rent-free in your head. The flincher, the over-explainer, the apologizer. He was built by fear and trained by scarcity. He will whisper, "What if?" exactly when you must say, "Why not?" He can't survive in the world you're building. He doesn't need to be hated. He needs to be replaced by leadership, by clarity, by a steady refusal to regress. You're not just leaving people behind. You're leaving versions of yourself behind. Grieve them briefly, then keep walking. Comfort is a velvet cage. Nostalgia is the last chain the past throws. Feel without obeying. Remember without returning. Move without permission. This is your edge now. Stillness over noise. Presence over pleading. Restriction over availability. Say less. Enforce more. And let your quiet turn into pressure the moment you enter the room. Power doesn't come from chaos. It comes from structure, and your greatest weapon isn't your voice. It's your silence. Not your movement, but your stillness. Not your craving, but your refusal to crave. That's how you create gravity. That's how the world starts revolving around you, not because you asked it to, but because you detached from needing it to. Every room you enter should adjust to you, not because you shout, but because you don't have to. There's something deeply unsettling about a man who listens more than he speaks, who moves only once, but with finality. That man is felt before he is heard. That man owns the atmosphere. And your task now is to become him, not by imitation, but through excavation. Strip away distractions, kill your dependencies. Build a mind so clean and focused that anything misaligned simply dies in your silence. You're not here to chase influence. You're here to radiate it. You're not here to impress the crowd. You're here to unsettle it with clarity, precision, and a refusal to compromise. People will either align or disappear. Let them. You're not running a rescue mission. You're building an empire. And empires are not built by consensus. They are built by conquest. Stop measuring progress by how comfortable you feel. Start measuring it by how many comfort-addicted people fall away. That's the true price of power. Solitude, suspicion, and self-reliance. But what you gain in return is priceless. You gain time. You gain clarity. You gain command. Because when you are no longer tangled in weak alliances, your steps sharpen, your purpose solidifies, and you begin to move like a king, alone when necessary, surrounded only by strength. That's when the noise quiets, not because the world gets kinder, but because it realizes it can't reach you anymore. Your enemies grow silent, not out of respect, but out of caution. Your old friends grow distant, not because you betrayed them, but because your discipline exposes their comfort. You'll feel it, the distance, the weight, the quiet, and mistake it for loneliness. It's not. It's altitude. You've simply climbed higher than their frequency. This is the ritual of power. It's not glamorous. It's surgical. It requires sacrifice. And the first thing you must sacrifice is comfort. You can't be comfortable and respected. You can't be comfortable and free. You can't be comfortable and feared. Comfort is the death of kings. It breeds softness. It dulls your edge. And every great man you admire bleeds for what he owns. Not loudly, not dramatically, but daily, privately, ruthlessly. They trade ease for excellence, pleasure for positioning, distraction for dominance. Because they understand. Comfort is the enemy of strategy. A man without strategy is a pawn in another man's plan. But a man with strategy, a man who can wait, observe, delay gratification, and execute precisely, is untouchable. He bends the world without being bent by it. He commands without raising his voice. He walks through chaos untouched, and his calm terrifies everyone watching. That's the state you're training for. Not rage, not noise, stillness. Stillness that says, I've already decided how this ends. That kind of certainty makes entire rooms nervous. Because stillness has no confusion, no insecurity, no room for negotiation. It carries consequence. It doesn't seek approval. It dictates reality. You're no longer here to react. You're here to dictate. Not with tyranny, but with precision. Not with ego, but with law. Your law. And your law is simple. Anything that weakens me must die. Thought, habit, relationship, belief. If it dilutes your strength, it's treason. That's the cost of being unstoppable. You must be willing to subtract everything that corrodes your clarity. You must be willing to destroy what destroys you. When you start doing this, life will grow quieter. The silence will feel heavy, but inside that weight, you'll find peace. Not the soft peace of surrender, but the peace of control. The peace of a man who knows exactly who he is and what he's about to do. Because at this level, there's no more explaining, no more convincing, no more asking. There's only moving. And your movement becomes the message. Every step a statement, every act an enforcement. You don't announce your strategy. You become it. Weak men debate power while strong men embody it. Weak men argue about morality while powerful men shape it. Weak men hope to be understood. Powerful men make understanding irrelevant. You've already outgrown the man you used to be. Stop shrinking to fit the rooms he belonged in. Stop using the compass of your past to navigate your future. That man served his purpose. He learned pain, failure, humility. And those lessons were the crucible, not the cage. You are not a survivor anymore. You're a strategist. Strategists don't react to what happened. They weaponize it. You'll begin to notice the shift. Betrayals become data. Delays become calibration. Failures become course corrections. You stop taking everything personally because you realize emotion is a tool, not a master. Feel it, but never obey it. Let emotion add color to your awareness, but not weight to your decisions. The moment you master that distinction, your precision becomes sacred. You stop wasting movement. You stop explaining standards. You stop seeking fairness and start studying leverage. And people feel it before they see it. They slow their words around you. They pause before lying. They test you once and never again. Because you've become predictable in your standards and unpredictable in your response. That combination terrifies the average man. Most people operate in chaos. Reactive, emotional, impulsive. When they meet someone unshaken, someone whose calm exposes their noise, they either submit or vanish. That's hierarchy in motion. Power doesn't always announce itself. It rearranges the room. As you rise, something interesting happens. The same people who once ignored you will suddenly orbit you. Some out of admiration, others out of envy dressed as friendship. They'll want proximity to your power, not participation in your purpose. They'll mimic your words, your tone, even your silence. But remember this, imitation is not loyalty. It's theft with good manners. Most betrayal doesn't come from your enemies. It comes from those you let too close. So audit your circle with surgical precision. Who adds value? Who adds noise? Who makes you second-guess your instincts? Distance is the cure for all three. No fights, no explanations. Just quiet removal. You are not building a committee, you are establishing a kingdom. And in that kingdom, weakness is treason. You cannot afford emotional freeloaders. Proximity without contribution is theft. Loyalty without alignment is a liability. So guard your gates, your energy, your attention, your time. These are royal currencies. Not everyone deserves an invitation to the court. Some people only visit the fire to steal its warmth. Learn to see them early and close the door before they ask for more. When you do this, the world will call you heartless. Let them. The same people who say you've changed will later respect the man you became. They'll say it behind closed doors, of course, because admitting it out loud would mean confronting their own stagnation. Do not explain. Do not argue. Their discomfort is the tax they pay for witnessing discipline. The higher you climb, the thinner the air, and the more you must rely on internal oxygen. Applause is external air. It feels good, but it's temporary. The true king doesn't breathe praise. He breathes purpose. Can you move forward without claps, without witnesses, without validation? If yes, then you're not just climbing, you're reigning. And here's the truth most never reach. Ruling yourself is harder than ruling others. Power begins with inner law. Can you sustain control when no one's watching? Can you enforce your own boundaries without the need for a villain to justify them? Can you be doubted, misunderstood, even hated, and still move like a man who knows? That's the mark of real power. You must protect your frame, the invisible architecture of your authority. It's not your image, not your reputation. It's your internal structure, the laws you live by when no one's looking. The frame says, "This is who I am. This is what I allow. This is what dies if it threatens my standard." Once you protect that frame, you become immovable. People can't imagine a world where you break. You become legend not by noise, but by consistency. And yet, remember, the throne is not the goal. The throne is the tool. The goal is the kingdom, influence, legacy, command. The kingdom is when your silence changes behavior, when your presence rearranges the atmosphere, when your standards replicate themselves in others without you lifting a hand. That's legacy, not fame, not followers, but echoes. To reach that level, you must build heirs, not worshippers. Sons of discipline, not sons of flattery. Men who carry your structure, not just your slogans. Your mission is not only to dominate, but to duplicate. To create minds that can walk in silence because you once showed them how. That's how your name outlives you, not through blood, but through blueprint. And here lies the final threshold, the death of the man who needed the world, and the birth of the man the world now needs. You've shed softness, killed hesitation, burned the need for approval. What remains is the original undiluted, unapologetic, unshaken. You no longer react to life, you design it. You no longer hope to be chosen, you choose. You no longer dream of peace. You create it through order. Every decision from here forward must serve one law: structure over sentiment. Comfort will beg you to slow down. Nostalgia will whisper that you're losing yourself. Don't believe it. You're not losing yourself. You're losing the parts that kept you small, the parts that flinched, that asked for permission, that mistook tolerance for love. Let them fade. Let them mourn the old you. You are not obligated to be soft so others feel safe. You are obligated to be strong so your vision survives. From this point, your power must not be explained. It must be demonstrated. Through silence, through distance, through control. Let your absence punish louder than your presence ever pleased. Let your name become a quiet warning, not a desperate plea. Because kings don't chase. Kings don't argue. Kings don't prove. They decide. They move. And the world adjusts. That is how you rule, not from noise, but from law. Not from emotion, but from design. And in that stillness, you finally understand. Being unstoppable isn't about winning every battle. It's about becoming a force that no battle can move. Every morning, the war begins not with the world, but with the weaker version of you. The one who hesitates, overthinks, apologizes for existing. He was born from fear, trained by survival, and shaped by rejection. He kept you safe once, but now he keeps you small. To rise, you must silence him not through hatred, but through clarity. You're not killing him. You're outgrowing him. You'll feel grief as you shed old versions of yourself. The parts that needed approval, that confused kindness with weakness, that begged to be understood, they all die here. Let them. You can't ascend while clinging to ghosts. From this point, your power will not come from words, but from restraint. Not from reaction, but from silence. Let your calm disturb them. Let your absence speak louder than any explanation. The man who can stay still when others lose control owns the battlefield. You no longer need to prove your worth. Your boundaries prove it for you. You no longer demand loyalty. You measure it through consistency. You no longer punish betrayal. You simply remove access. Every act of restraint becomes architecture. Every silence becomes law. You move less, but everything you do now carries weight. Power is no longer something you chase, it's something you radiate. You've stopped arguing with the weak and started mastering yourself. You no longer seek to be liked. You seek to be effective. The man who stops chasing understanding becomes impossible to manipulate. They will call you cold, ruthless, heartless. Let them. Every accusation is proof that your silence works. You don't owe explanations to the confused. You don't negotiate with disrespect. You don't justify your evolution to those still standing still. You are no longer reacting to life, you're directing it. You don't hope for peace, you enforce it. You don't chase influence, you become it. And when people feel your clarity, they either align or disappear. This is what it means to be unstoppable. Not loud, not cruel, not desperate, just complete. You move once, speak rarely, and never explain twice. You're not surviving anymore. You're reigning. From now on, the world won't test your strength. It will adapt to it, because you are no longer trying to be unstoppable. You already are.